If you ever want to avoid career burnout, the next 5 minutes is going to be crucial to you. Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified, the world's largest independent online law school platform. I'm your instructor, Shavin Bandad-Nayaka. More often than not, the students I've encountered over the past 9 years of tutoring and providing career as well as academic support for law students around the world, going through my Masterclass or fast-track programs and pivoting their careers in some instances from whatever trajectory that they were presently on to that which they aspire to become in terms of a solicitor, a barrister, or an attorney in different jurisdictions around the world. One common denominator and thread that I've seen across the board, irrespective of the jurisdiction, irrespective of the life circumstances, is how unprepared these students were in terms of the prospects of their career aspirations, as well as mapping it properly to their academic qualifications. If you like the type of content that I make on this YouTube channel, do subscribe and leave a comment below for what you would like me to produce next. If you are a student pursuing your first, second or third years in law, I'd highly recommend the comprehensive online law school platform, complete with theory, tutorial and workshop lessons based on the actual one-on-ones that I've conducted with first-class law students around the world. Now, I began this video by telling you that if you ever want to avoid career burnout, you're going to have to pay attention to a few elements and principles that I'm going to advance to you in this video. But in reality, I'm going to tell you one specific thing to keep in mind. Frame your purpose. What do I mean by this? Oftentimes, any person, any individual who tends to think about or aspire to become a particular professional. It can be a lawyer, it can be an engineer, it can be a doctor. Usually looks at this aspiration from a very generic, abstract format. What I mean by that is you would essentially try and compartmentalize these professions into those abstract buckets. If someone asks you when you were a child, you'll say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an astronaut for that matter. All of these are conceptually very generic in terms of the pathway. What I mean by that is you might superficially think of a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor in its professional context rather than understanding the fact that within these abstract and generic professions, you have highly specialized and skilled individuals that are essentially masters of one particular area. So for example, and I'm going to take this in the context of law since that's an area that I have expertise in and that I can inform and guide you on. If you take a lawyer in England and Wales, for example, it's not going to be cookie cutter in that sense. You will, for example, have a distinction between a solicitor and a barrister, and their roles in terms of the legal system are vastly different from one another. Later on, a barrister or a solicitor may transition into academia and might become a lecturer in law, for example, or conversely may go into a different pathway altogether in terms of adjudication and become a judge. Or in some instances, they might take the repertoire of knowledge that they have in terms of law, supplement it with other areas such as management, logistics, or even construction and engineering, and then become an industry expert and go on to become later on in their careers an arbitrator. In whatever specialization a lawyer or a legal professional may be in, at the very outset, while you might not be able to hone in exactly what you're good at and where you want to go, it does pay dividend in the long run to have at least a semblance of an idea of some specialization. Granted, when you start your law degree, when you go into your LLB or even your GDL, for those of you who are pivoting from one profession to another, you might not essentially have the biggest idea or the best idea at that of what exactly you are good at and what you want to do. But it's important as much as you can to frame your purpose at the very inception. Why this is important is because if you don't have some semblance of what exactly you want to do, not just in the abstract but as specific as possible, you're going to be essentially a sailboat traversing the ocean in the hurricane. You'll be whiffed around various directions until finally, hopefully, you're going to encounter some form of an island in the middle of nowhere. And at that point, it's not that you have encountered your dream position or your aspiration, but you're going to compromise because 50% of something or less so is better than 100% of nothing. So, remember, frame your purpose. Understand at the very outset where exactly you want to go to. And by no means let TV or movies steer you towards a particular profession. Rather, let it inspire you in terms of the area that you're going into. Because chances are, those that are dramatic about a particular profession are not essentially giving you the whole picture or framing it in the context that may apply to you. That being said, until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.